In today's episode, we will discuss the term reasonably practicable. What does this mean exactly? Is there any case law history behind reasonably practicable? And how do we actually determine what is reasonable? But first, let's go to the countdown.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of Space Shuttle Atlantis.
There are 3 levels of statutory duty which form a hierarchy of duties. These levels are used extensively in health and safety criminal law, but have been defined by judges in common law. These 3 levels are absolute, practicable, and reasonably practicable. Absolute duty is the highest level of duty and often occurs when the risk of danger is so high that injury is inevitable unless safety precautions are taken. This duty is absolute and the employer has no option but to undertake this duty. The verbs used in the regulations are must and shall. Then there's the duty of practicable, which means that the employer has to ensure that so far as practicable that any control measure is maintained in efficient state. And this means that if the duty is technically feasible, then it must be done, irrespective of any difficulty, inconvenience or cost. But what is the term reasonably practicable, or to reduce a risk so far as reasonably practicable? It appears early on in the Health and Safety at Work Act in section 2.1. It shall be the duty of every employer to ensure, so far as is reasonably practicable, the health, safety and welfare at work of all his employees. To find out its precise meaning, you have to refer to case law in Edwards versus National Coal Board in 1949. Now, let's go to the facts, the decision made, and what Lord Justice Asquith stated about reasonably practicable. And the facts about the Edwards versus National Coal Board case was that Mr. Edwards was killed when an unsupported section of a travelling road in a mineway gave way. Only about half the whole length of the road was shored up, and the National Coal Board argued that the cost of shoring up all roads in every mine was too expensive and prohibitive when compared to the risk. And the decision was, the question at the issue was not the cost of shoring up all roads in every mine operated by the company. The issue was the cost of making safe the section of the road that fell. Some roads were secure and showed no signs of failing. Others may already have fallen and have already been repaired. The section in question was already supported by timber along half its length. The cost of making it safe was not great compared to the risk of injury and loss of life. The National Coal Board were found liable as cost of making safe was not great when compared to the risk. The damages were in order of £10,000, which is probably a lot of money back in 1949. But we know that you cannot put any value on the loss of life. But it wouldn't have cost anywhere near the region of £10,000 to make the travelling road in the mine safe. The judge who was overseeing the case, Lord Justice Asquith, stated, "Reasonably practicable is a narrower term than physically possible and implies that a computation must be made in which the quantum of risk is placed in one scale and the sacrifice involved in the measures necessary for averting the risk, whether in time, trouble or money, is placed in the other, and that if it be shown that there is a great disproportion between them, the risk being insignificant in relation to the sacrifice, the person upon whom the obligation is imposed discharges the onus which is upon him." So what did Lord Justice Asquith mean by this exactly? And how do we decide what is actually reasonable? When we are assessing a risk, if you imagine a set of scales and whether the time, cost and effort would disproportionately outweigh the risk and vice versa. If the time, cost and effort disproportionately outweighs the risk, then you don't need to jump through as many loopholes. But if the risk grossly outweighs the time, cost and effort, then you must invest resources to avoid or reduce that risk. However, if we can strike the right balance, then we can truly add value to our employees and our business. For example, if we had a low risk and a low frequency task, then it wouldn't be reasonable to spend lots of money on plant and equipment to control what is already considered a low risk. On the other hand, if we have a high frequency task that presents a significant risk to our employees, then it makes sense to consider putting resources towards reducing the risk. An example could be if an office worker had to pick up, move and carry a box of papers weighing around about 8 kg for printing purposes on an infrequent basis, then it wouldn't be reasonable to invest in expensive automated equipment to do the task in terms of time, cost and effort against the risk of manual handling injuries. However, if warehouse workers had lots of heavy boxes of goods to move around on a regular basis, then it would be considered reasonable to invest in expensive automated equipment to reduce or avoid the risks of foreseeable manual handling or musculoskeletal injuries relating to their work. I will now leave you with the HSE's example of reasonably practicable. To spend £1 million to prevent 5 staff suffering bruised knees is obviously grossly disproportionate, but to spend £1 million to prevent a major explosion capable of killing 150 people is obviously proportionate. And that is all we have for today. If you like my video, then please like, share and subscribe to my channel. You can also get my podcasts on Spotify and iTunes. If you want to connect with me and ask me any questions, anything at all, like what colour knickers I'm wearing, no, I'm messing, don't ask me that. But head on over to the Guarded by Safety Facebook page, and also I'm on Twitter as well, at Safety Guarded. Come hang out with me on my next episode, why not? Till then, this is David Bush, signing out.